Yeah, the customer satisfaction survey was something that we'd not done for maybe 3 or 4 years. And as you know, with any of our events, everything is driven by customer feedback. People get bored of me saying at the members meeting, tick the box on the feedback form. Make sure you give us the feedback forms at the end of the session. And so the customer satisfaction survey is just an extension of that. And how do we know how we're doing if we don't ask our customers? And how do we know what our customers want if we don't ask them? And it's all for me, it all sounds really, really simple and basic. But talking to other companies, I'm gobsmacked by the way that most people don't.
Mm.
And and so I think we had about 100 organisations respond to the survey. And there's two or three pieces of data that I'm looking for or looking at, and that's would our customers recommend us? No, and that's probably the main one that I'm excited about. And I think we're up at just below 98%. And
Wow.
it's incredible. I've never worked in an organization where the love for the company is as grand and as great as it is here. It's
Mm.
absolutely incredible. Um, the other sort of data that we're looking for is, I'm looking for negative feedback. It's great to have the positive feedback, but looking for negative feedback. And there was one particular person that said they wouldn't recommend us, and I took it really personally, and which I do. I take all the negative stuff personally, but took it personally and went down to see them, and they're just not far away, and having a conversation with them around why they use us, what's good and what's bad. And this particular person looks after clinical staff in a children's hospice. And she's explaining to me that she looks after the clinical people whose role is to make the last days of a dying child more comfortable. And it's like, okay, this starts putting it all into perspective. And so, what she meant by she wouldn't recommend us is she said, as an example, the GDPR course that we have is a 40-minute, course aimed at somebody working in a corporate. And she's like, that's not my audience. They don't want to be spending 40 minutes doing something that, to be honest, they're not. It's not something they're interested in, and also the element of GDPR that somebody in that position needs to know, and needs to cover is very, very different and very limited compared to, say,
Mm.
somebody working in a finance department.
Yeah.
um so I like the positive data, but it's the negative data that really enables us to change and evolve into what it is that our members want. GDPR compliance, as we have it at the moment, is fine for probably
Mm.
80% of our audience, but there's 20% of the audience that it's not. It's maybe too much. So one of the new initiatives that we're going to be launching later this year is we're actually creating our own compliance content. Feedback is great in the way that it tells us what we're doing right, but I'm really looking at how do we change things? How do we make things better?
Mm.
Um, Off the back of the customer satisfaction survey, then we highlighted organisations that you would talk to.
Mm.
And so another thing that we found is if I go into see a customer, into a member,
Yeah.
um, then people are very honest with me, but I think it's different when it's an independent person, somebody that's coming from a research perspective. And I suppose that's why all the big organizations that do customer satisfaction surveys, they
Mm.
bring in outside organizations to do that. So we're not different. But I think, and what struck me is when you have a conversation with an organization, whether it's positive or negative, they tell you quite a different story to what they tell us.
Okay.
And we've been very lucky that all of those conversations that have happened have been massively positive,
Mm.
um, with some areas that will help us change things,
Mm.
not change for the sake of it, but change to make things better. As human beings, we don't want to upset people,
Mm.
give people bad news, the whole difficult conversations. And I think when I speak to them, they're always very positive. Occasionally, there's a difficult conversation, but really positive. And I don't dig and I don't delve down into the sort of level that you would. And I think that's important when I look at things from a sales perspective. It's around us asking questions I'm just thinking aloud here in terms of when I go to see customers now. um, I probably, I'll ask two or three questions, but I won't really dig down to find the root of things. So if there's something that's potentially negative, then I don't spend the time digging down onto it. Um, Whereas when you're talking to people, you're going in with some defined questions, and you want to dig down and you want to find the root of whether it's the successes or the problems.
Yeah.
It's invaluable. I look at trends. I By speaking to a lot of members, I'll start spotting trends across membership, and I think with the work that you're doing, it's confirming that is the case. Um, and I can't remember how many people you've spoken to. It's seven or eight, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's funny because the feedback is very, very similar. You can spot the trends between those
Yeah.
organisations. The account managers, the membership managers, they view them really personally as
Mm.
as theirs. And when we told them about it, immediately you could tell they thought we were checking up on them. They
Mm.
thought that it was a way of us to get an outside organisation in to see if they're doing their job properly. And so it took, I say quite a lot. It took, a few conversations with them at the beginning, saying, no, 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 that's not the point. This is no. We want to have those conversations with members that we can't have from a CLC perspective, and so now they're taking the information on board, and they're really proud of it, and they're promoting it, and they're talking to members about it.